Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam, and this video is on summer planting woody shrubs and trees. The main concern we have, obviously, planting in the summer is the heat and what that does to take water out of the top of the plant and whether or not the roots can supply water to the plant fast enough to make up for that. When we plant something in the summertime, we're damaging the roots. And I just planted this Japanese maple. It'll be in another video. I'll link it right here. I obviously did some damage to these roots, and these roots were doing a perfectly fine job of supplying this much foliage, water, and then I may have just taken out 15% of them when I was planting it. So what I do, and what I always did when I landscaped, when we're planting in the summer, is I actually go through and I take off the newest foliage off of this tree. I'll hold the ends of these branches together like this, and I'll just give them a pruning like that. I'll go over this entire top of this tree and do that. And I'll take out, I gained some free mulch from doing it as well. But every single one of these branches, these terminal ends where it's using the water and where it's producing new leaves, that's where the majority of the water on this tree is being used. And this is what we did on landscape jobs. We drag a water hose over to it, drown the space around it while we were continuing to plant the next plant and the next plant. And after we were done, I'd have somebody go around and just prune off the tips of every branch on this tree, which of course will actually end up giving it a nicer shape over time anyway. But now I've cut the water use of this plant probably by 50% or more, because it was mainly using water to produce new foliage. And I've kind of taken that away from it. Now it's going to probably root for a little while before it resets and starts putting on new foliage. It should be fine to do that over the next 3 or 4 weeks. It will root in enough, but that's what I do. And I'm going to show you an example on some other plants at the nursery. This is a very good example of what I'm talking about. This is a ligustrum in a 7-gallon pot, and it's just absolutely loaded with new growth. The roots that are in that container are able to take care of this plant right now. But I'm going to take it out of this pot, damage those roots some, and then this thing's going to wilt every afternoon if I don't get that new foliage off of it. So I would take this plant and just kind of hold it like this and maybe take 4 or 6 inches off the top, all the way across this thing. That's what I would do with this plant. And then it would use far less water and it wouldn't be wilting when you get home. The real danger here is you take this plant out of this container, damage the roots, plant it in the ground, you come home and it's in a wilt. But it's not necessarily in a wilt because it doesn't have water in the ground. It's in a wilt because it doesn't have the root system to supply the water to the top of the plant. So you drag a water hose over to it and you water it, and now you've watered it really unnecessarily, and you start to overwater it. And you see far more plants being killed with too much water in the summer than a lack of water. Here's an even better example. If you buy this crepe myrtle with flowers on it, it's July right now, and you go home and put this in the ground, there's just no way that root system is going to be able to supply the foliage and the flowers the water that they require at that time of year after you've damaged the roots some. Already this thing's root bound. Crepe myrtles are notorious for being root bound in their containers, so it's already even being drought stressed in the nursery. You really need to come along and take these flowers off, maybe 6 inches below each of these flower buds. The alternative to that is just to enjoy the flowers as a container plant, and then when the flowering stops, go ahead and plant it at that point. But really, I would hold all this together and take all of these flowers off. And that's true with any of these crepe myrtles right here. This is kind of a before and after here. Here's this ligustrum I had showed you that when it goes in the ground would need to be pruned. And this is about how much I would have chopped it off. And you can see this one was just cut a week and a half ago, and it already has new growth coming on it. So it will quickly recover from that, and it will be a lot less maintenance. So that's my key to planting in the summer. I did this for years on landscape jobs. I knew that the customer was not going to potentially be taking care of the shrubs very well. So before we left every landscape job, we just take a little bit off the top, especially things like butterfly bushes, perennials that are in bloom, crepe myrtles, hydrangeas that bloom in the summertime. So any of those things that have flowers on them especially, and any of those leafy evergreen things that get lots of new growth in the early summer. Definitely prune those things up some. So thanks for watching, and if this video was helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for future videos. Also comment below with any questions you have about planting in the summertime or watering in the summertime or whatever. Thanks again.